to get jobs, slept with numerous people.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, you actually want to go here? I've actually.
I just went there.
Okay, I've actually.
Welcome to the party.
Okay. I've actually had this conversation in private before, never in public, and this is sort of a public thing. So the Me Too movement, and we could bring in Terry Crews into this. Are you guys? I'm talking about some serious stuff.
We're taking selfies.
We're taking selfies. Sorry.
Um,
We have to post, buddy. We got to keep
Terry
the
Crews
algorithms
is
happy.
involved in what I'm about to say. There's a bunch of people.
Terry
involved.
Crews?
Yeah, in a weird way.
Did you know that he was addicted to porn? Openly.
Either way, yes.
Terry Crews.
Openly?
Openly addicted to porn. Talks about it all the time. His
Anyway.
wife left him, and then he went to rehab and has totally turned his life around. His wife's back, and they're better than ever.
We'd like to invite you back. That's what he said to her. I'd like to invite
Sorry,
you.
what are you gonna say, man?
Good.
Terry Crews is involved. I'm in. If he's involved, I'm in.
Wait, did you say Terry Crews? We're in.
No, it's branching off of what you just said. But
All right,
I'm
good.
going to bring in Terry Crews in a minute. But
Okay.
Wait a minute.
movement.
What did Terry Crews? Did he make a pass at you to try to?
What about J. Crew?
The whole Me
Can we
Too-
bring them in
can
too?
we
Because I
get
love their
serious with it?
clothes. J. Crew. What a great line of clothing. Classic. Never gets old. J. Crew.
You're gonna like
All
the
right.
way you look. I guarantee it. Men's
We
Warehouse.
guarantee it. Wait a minute. Isn't that the Men's Warehouse? Men's Warehouse. Also not bad, duds. Okay. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You
So
guys
Terry
can take
Crews.
this
No,
one.
Terry Crews is addicted to porn. You were saying?
That's not what I was saying. That's it.
I found that on the Running Wild with Bear Grylls episode that he did, which was pretty.
He was talking about it with Bear?
in the middle of the Alps or something. It was cold, so it was good to have that conversation.
Tough to be out here. There's no porn out here, is there?
Yeah.
No, Terry. Thank God. You know, I used to be addicted to that. What? Try this shit.
Get that stuff away from me.
Try this poop. What? Yeah, eat it. It's all good. A lot of nutrients. All right, it's like placenta. Go ahead. Okay, buddy. Come on. Sorry. Go.
Me Too movement. In regards to the entertainment industry and what's happened, actually, anybody in power that uses their power to influence somebody else for anything, really, was a very good thing. Very prevalent in our industry.
Oh, yeah.
I know I've been on movie sets where I've heard male producers talk about these girls that they've given jobs because of either the way they look or that they went out to drinks with them. I've been privy to all those conversations, so I know how important actually that was, because it is a real thing. The casting couch, we all know it's existed. We've all been somewhat complacent in a way towards it, and I know I have a responsibility for that, and you guys do as well.
Of course.
But the one thing that's very interesting that doesn't get talked about enough in the Me Too movement is how this is a two-way street. In fact, it's a 3, maybe even 4-way street. I don't know how we're going to cut this up. But when it comes to Terry Crews feels like he was groped and used as a piece of meat by somebody in power above him within the industry.
Right.
Well, not a lot of guys, in my opinion, have come out and talked about this in the industry.
Yeah,
There is also this same situation. Now, granted, I'd say it's probably a third of what women go through, the amount of men.
Yeah, who knows
Men
the
go
number?
through this as well, whether it's another woman or another man in power.
Yeah.
There's been many times in my life where I've been propositioned to get a huge role. I've lost my agency because I went to the hotel room, which I can't believe they would send me to, of a very prominent Oscar award-winning director who showed up in his robe, asked me to take my clothes off and said he needed to take Polaroids of me, and that if I did X, Y, and Z, I would be the next Marvel character. I didn't do that, and my agency fired me because I left this director's room. And
along those lines,
a lot of these stories, a lot of my other male friends have gone through with both men and women in this industry. But there's a double standard, and this is where I bring Terry Crews. Terry Crews comes out and says it, people are laughing at him.
right.
People don't support him. They kick him out. Why? Because he's a man that represents masculinity, and I think our society is less ready to hear that situation going on with men than they are with women, actually.
Look, the bottom line is there's been, a lot of those crossroads, and those thresholds that, of course, I mean, we've all been, part of that. And those moments are tough. And, it's about, I guess, for me, when those moments arose, and they were plenty, obviously, it was just a principle thing for me. I just wasn't going to do it,
Yeah.
And I lost out on a lot of parts too.
Yep.
Big movie parts, and like you said, I know the guys that went on and did them, and I don't know what situations they were thrust into. I'm not going to even speculate, but I know that it was set up in an infrastructure where that's what was expected.
Like I said, I had no choice. I had an agency, a big prominent agency.
But that was an infrastructure with that particular part. Like you took that part with that filmmaker or whatever it was, that was expected. So, but for me, it was always a principle thing, and I had those personal boundaries, and I just wasn't comfortable going over those thresholds. Nobody's perfect. Obviously everybody makes mistakes in their lives, but that was one that I just wasn't going to ever cave on.
Well, that's where we were raised, so I didn't either.
Yeah. Principles are important. You have to have. I think you have to have principles. You have to. Whatever they are, and they can be different for everybody, but you got to have them. I tell my daughters this all the time because this is something that our parents passed on to us, and me and Pop passed on to us. But it's I think one of the most valuable things was growing up, and being super famous and everything, especially during those 15 years there.
What if you just ended it after that?
What do you mean?
One of the most valuable things growing up, being super famous and everything. That's all you said.
That's it. So,
oh Jesus!
Because I was very famous. No, no. It was is that, and I remember, when it came to those moments where I was going to be out, 16, 17, and like away from the group and family and with friends, and where a lot of those opportunities would come up, or where a lot of those propositions would come up, and they certainly did, and a lot of the drugs and all that stuff.
Oh, it was all
it was all everywhere. But
offered to you by the people who were supposed to be protected.
Right, but it and really it was crystallized in what Mom and Dad used to say, which is that, listen, it's not about us. It has nothing to do with us. I remember Mom saying, and Dad, it's not going into my body. I wouldn't do it ever. It's up to you to decide how much you respect yourself, what's going into your body, or what you're going to do to your body, right? What you're going to let somebody do to your body, whatever that is. And with daughters, and it really hit home to me. Like, and when I would go out and those moments would be there, I would think about it in terms of myself. Like, because so many times as young people, you get to, screw my parents. They don't know shit. I'm going to do what I want. No one's going to tell me what to do. And that's normal. We've all felt that way at certain times. But when you put it into that mind frame, that framework of, it's you, it has nothing to do with me. Like, do you want to do that to you? Because I didn't do it to me, but I'm your dad or I'm your mom, and I'm here telling you, like, I don't think about what you want to do to you. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, man, it really did crystallize so much for me, and I didn't want to do it. I was afraid to do it to myself, so I never did it. And that's a principle that I had that I didn't even realize that I adopted, but because that it was framed within that context, and I it worked with me. Obviously, it doesn't work with everybody, but I've now framed that with my almost 17-year-old daughter, and I'm even starting with my 12-and-a-half-year-old daughter, because unfortunately, life moves fast, and a lot of kids and a lot of peers smoke weed, and it starts there for a lot of kids, and especially with this fentanyl stuff now and all this stuff that's going on. There's a lot of scary times. Well, man. I mean, these poor kids even take what they feel is an innocent joint, and all of a sudden now a drop of that fentanyl stuff, and they're dead. And you hear about these horrific stories: 9 kids in one junior high. I mean, these poor kids. Now look. Anyway, principles for yourself are important, and it starts young, and they're building blocks of who you become as a young adult, and as an adult, and as a parent, and as a grandparent.
And you know what's so weird? Even me sitting here right now, as we're talking about this, and it's weird because there's this other really weird thing, and I don't know if this has to come down to the peer pressure, because the people who do it don't want to feel like they're any less than the people who don't, but a lot of the times, especially for kids, but still even up until now, people look at it like, you're just a goody two-shoes. And it's
right.
No, man. No, actually, I'm not.
No. I know. I get that. That's a perception about us, too, actually.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about,
the Disney Channel brothers.
Yeah, you
okay,
well. know what you're talking about. I just don't share with you what's going on or what I've done wrong or what's happened in my life.
Yeah, please.
And I refuse to allow drugs to dictate my life.
Right.
Had nothing to do with that. Honestly, the mentors in my life, not just my parents. I've told this story before about Robin Williams. One of the biggest impacts I took off of that set from Mrs. Doubtfire was the fact that when he was on. When he was off, it was really a bad experience for him. Life was terrible for him when he was off stage.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Brotherly Love Podcast.
For full episodes, go to the Brotherly Love Pod's YouTube channel, link in the description.
And for exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon right now.
That's right, there's a link in the description for that too. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks.